Kia ora, g'day, welcome back here with this reaction to the Battle of Kamdesh and survivors of it. So my first time reacting to this. I have seen bits and pieces of this. I think that there is a movie out about this where I believe Clint Eastwood's son, I think, plays one of the main characters in it. This looks like, from what the bits and pieces that I have seen, it looks like a terrible place for an outpost to be put in the first place. And whoever the supposed Einsteins or geniuses were that came up with this location and identified it and deemed it suitable and gave the approval to go set up a base there, whether it's this being a US outpost or base, but any sort of base should seriously be, I think, put in prison, for want of a better term, or they should have been forced to stay there in that location. Anyway, let's jump into this.
Essentially, we were outnumbered 7-1 or 8-1, which is not a good number.
The amount of gunfire that was coming in was not normal. There was a lot more explosions happening.
It's a bit of an understatement, eh? Outnumbered 7-1, not a good number.
And it just sounded like 100 machine guns pouring into the cop that morning.
You know, we land on the ground and you look up and you're surrounded by mountains and everybody's in this.
I think that guy there that it just showed was, I think that's Clint Eastwood's son. Don't quote me on it. I could be way off the mark.
Response is, what the fuck are we doing here? The location that we were in was a fishbowl.
Just look at that. Anybody, you don't have to be a military strategist or tactical genius to look at that piece of ground. Cop Keating, I'm not sure what the cop, that's probably an acronym for something, but that just looks terrible. You're surrounded on all sides if you decide to put a base there.
We were, the position we were in was later described as tactically indefensible. I think that location...
Another understatement of the year, tactically indefensible.
Cannot be summarized more truthfully than that statement, a tactically indefensible position.
So my name is Tom Rasmussen. I was a sergeant in the U.S. Army. I was in 3rd Squadron, 61st Cavalry Regiment. We were Arista Squadron, which is smaller unit type scout unit. Our MTO, which our MTO is how many people are in each platoon, each troop, so on and so forth, is a lot smaller than most.
There'll be lots of acronyms and stuff that they will likely say that I'll just have no idea what they're talking about. This MTO or M2. There's bound to be a heck of a lot more, so I'm not even going to try to explain what those are because I don't know.
Third of the size of a normal infantry unit. There was something about our unit, especially our platoon, where everybody was just real tight. We were really good friends with each other. There was a rank structure, but everybody was also best friends, and we respected the rank structure, but we also were as close as you can get to another human being.
It sounds pretty similar to an SF unit.
My name is Armando Avalos Jr., and the unit I was attached to was Bravo Troop 361. So my time with Bravo and 1st Platoon is a little different from the rest of the guys you probably talked to already because they're scouts, so I was an attachment to these guys. I was sort of an outsider coming in again and having to find my way into this platoon, so I always carried a chip on my shoulder because I always had to be at least up there with the leaders of the platoon for them to have any trust into me and my ability to do my job. But once I found my niche with the guys and got in, and it was just like a little fraternity club. It literally was just hanging out, getting ambushed and running out with your friends and, returning fire and coming back and just bullshitting the rest of the day. I know a lot gets said about the negative side of war, but there's also a positive side of war where you know, we've developed this bond that today we still have.
So my name is Chris.
That's cool that he's mentioned that. Like, yeah, a lot of negative stuff in there in war in general, but also, yeah, I mean, like, and it's to me and my thoughts, it comes down to the people that you're with and the bonds that you make and the stuff that you go through. But being able to do that with people that you just have absolute trust in and belief in, it's I think it's pretty special anyway.
Cordova. I served as the medical officer for Combat Outpost Keating on October 3rd of 2009. I was the senior medical advisor to the
COP Keating, Combat Outpost Keating. Okay, cool. Got it.
squadron commander and overall responsible for the medical care at Combat Outpost Keating. Yeah, so my sole focus at COP Keating was to provide health care, so primary care for sprained ankles, sore throats, illnesses that would pop up. And then my most important mission there was saving lives of soldiers who were injured.
My name is Brad Larson. I'm with the Nebraska National Guard right now. My first flight into COP Keating came in on a Chinook in the middle of the night. It was pitch black, landed on an LZ, got off the Chinook with nods on, looked around, and all I saw was mountains and cliffs everywhere.
My name's First Sergeant Harder.
I'm sure it's going to talk a bit more about what he thought when he landed, but it must have been a sinking feeling, I would imagine. Landing into an LZ or into a base, Combat Outpost Keating, COP Keating, probably not knowing much about it, so they clearly didn't get a look at any maps or anything beforehand. Maybe they did. And maybe he thought it'd be different once he got there. But landing there at night, under nods, looking around, and all you're seeing is yourself surrounded by mountains. It must have been a sinking feeling, and or thinking, who the hell chose this spot, and why did they put us here?
From Minnesota. I'm currently the First Sergeant of Bravo Troop 213 Cav. So the COP, it didn't take much to realize this is a horrible spot to be. It's beautiful, but it's horrible. And I saw it for the first time in daylight, and I couldn't believe it. And then we went to normal business right after that.
Interesting. I wonder if there was any feedback discussion. Surely there must have been. I'd like to think that there would have been, like sergeants on the ground or the troop commander, an officer of some description on the ground. They probably just got overruled and told to shut up, and that's where they are, and to look after it, which is what I assume. So hence again, why I mentioned at the start, who were the decision makers that said, that's a good spot. Let's put an outpost right there, a combat outpost, and let's put troops there. I don't know how many troops they had there. Maybe we'll get into this, but just a trucking ridiculous place.
Our day-to-day routine was, it's so funny. It goes from 0 to 100. Just sitting around watching The Office or playing Risk, and then boom, RPGs come in, and it's just you're wired up, spun up, ready to go. A lot of workout time, a lot of goofing off with the guys, which is fun. You kind of have to do that when you're in that environment. Try to keep spirits alive, and so a lot of pranks. I wasn't involved directly with the goat and Bundy's in his bunk, but that one was pretty good. I think that one probably took the cake.
We're gonna go throw in the LT's room.
I hate to say it was all fun and games,
Crack up. Boys will be boys, eh?
it wasn't. There's a lot of downtime, and so during the boredom, you would kind of come up with different ways to entertain yourself.
Normally at COP Keating, we would do patrols. We would try to talk to the locals, looking for signs of the enemy. We did
He'd be like, no enemy here. Nothing. Safe, very safe.
meetings with the elders, what resources they needed, what we could help them with, whether it was drinking water or electricity, schools for the kids.
So the enemy in that location, they've been fighting wars their whole time, since birth. They were
It's interesting. Sorry to cut this guy off. It's interesting. Those are really good things. Clean drinking water, electricity, education, schooling for children, etc., etc. But I think some of that, when you're going into those areas, just I'm sure they were, but spending time that typically, like spending time with them, getting to understand what it is that they're actually after, like trying to win those hearts and minds is a core part of any sort of force that's essentially invaded another country with good intentions. It seemed or sounded like, wanting to try to end terror and give people democracy in that country, which they have not had, and they've been so used to not having it. So going in there offering, can we give you clean water? Can we give you education, electricity, when they've probably not been using any of that at all? Clean water, yes. Education, they've likely got their own type of how it is that they go about educating their people, their children, the next generations. Electricity, it's probably just not even a thing, like candles and lamps, and they get by well enough. So although they're good intentions, I think the importance of trying to understand the landscape, the people, where they're at, what makes them tick, etc., to me is more important initially than trying to offer all these wonderful things. Hopefully that makes sense.
Fighting Russians, they were doing everything that we're doing.
They were good. They were really good at what they did. They were trained. The Taliban doesn't care about dying. Their entire goal is to be a martyr for their religion. The terrain there is just so nasty. Everything's straight up. Everything's jagged rocks, boulders the size of cars that people can hide behind. It's extremely an intimidating environment. When you live in that, it's like it's your own backyard. You know what I mean? If I'm hunting in my backyard, I know every trail. I know where the deer are coming and going, and the Taliban are no different in Afghanistan. They know all the trails. They know all the goat paths. They know all the easy infills, exfills. They know how to shoot at you a couple times and then just roll out, and you'll never see them.
So all started at 6 a.m. And it was like just like any other day.
I woke up a little before daylight. I was going to relieve Mace on LRAS 2 on the gun truck. I went out there, took my helmet off, set it on the Humvee, had to take my morning piss, little pecker hanging out to the wind. Little did I know that there was enemy snipers and hundreds of enemy that were eyeing me that should have taken me out right then, but they had to wait for their signal.
I was actually on guard duty from midnight to 03 at LRAS 2, which Sergeant Larson was my relief and came out to relieve me at 3 o'clock. So I just remember getting off shift, just like any other soldier gets off shift, they go relieve themselves, unwind, go BS, write a letter, emails, get on the internet, whatnot. But I just remember my last conversation with Gallegos before I bedded down for the night. It was just about how shitty everything was at the moment and how we just needed a little bit more time and everything would be better, better situation for all of us.
More than a bit more time, eh? Like needed a better location too. And again, whoever those leaders are that approved that bloody rubbish spot, Combat Outpost Keating, they got some explaining to do, I reckon.
Hey, come over here.
The boom, initial boom, explosion, obviously, was not so different than in previous, incoming fire that we had taken. But within seconds, that initial explosion was accompanied by multiple explosions and then gunfire. And so initially, within seconds, we knew that this was not the same attack that had happened before. This was something that they had been planning, and this was a big one, and it was evident right off the bat. Initially opened.
Right. Of course they would have been planning that, eh? Like, they would have been looking, I assume, the Taliban would have been looking, going, are these fellas, like, are they all there? Like, are they stupid? Have they forgotten that we roll these mountains and this is how we roll? This is our modus operandi. Like, we will hold and move into positions up in these mountains, these ridge lines. The guys just spoke about it themselves. They know all the goat trails, they know all the paths, all the ins and outs, like the back of their hand. And we're going to watch what you guys do. We're going to see where your generators are. We're going to see where your fuel is. We're going to get an idea of your rotations and people when they're moving in and out, depending. I don't know to what level they detail their reporting, the insurgents, that is, when they're conducting observation posts on coalition forces. But I presume that they've got a level of understanding and the importance of trying to identify what the routines are, when the changeovers are, when and where the potential weak spots are in any particular, in this case, compound like that, which is just a static sitting target.
In the door, it wasn't the same. The smell of all the guns firing, the explosions in the background, they came fast and they came hard with an intensity that we weren't quite used to.
The amount of gunfire that was coming in was not normal. There was a lot more explosions happening. So as I'm getting up, I'm looking at Clint Romachet and Brad Larson, and I'm throwing my kit on, and we're having like a nonverbal communication where we're like looking at each other like, fuck, we're gonna have to fight today. Like, they're here to play today. You know what I mean? So it was extremely intense, just and intimidating before you even got into the fight.
So as soon as those explosions happened, I jumped out. Shane Corville and I, were ready. He looked at me. I looked at him. I think our communication through our looks were like, "Oh shit, shit's going down. We got to be ready for this."
Remember, like the first round came in was, I think, from a recoilless rifle or maybe a rocket. I don't really remember, but it was a big boom, and that's what woke me up. But at this point, like I said, you get numb to it. Your mind instantly wants to think, oh, not right now. I want to sleep. Like, I'm tired.
10 seconds into it, I knew this was different. I was getting hit with everything. RPGs, sniper fire, machine gun fire. Everything was focused on the western side, was focused on myself. And
I'm sorry. Those eyebrows of his they really stand out. Apologies. I just had to mention it there. Now that you've seen it, if you didn't see it before, you can't unsee it, I'm sure.
and the mortar pit. It was a long time ago, but I figured I had about 10 minutes of my life left in me. They were hitting me really, really hard, and I was hitting back as hard as I could.
So I went ahead and went into our CP office, saw Lieutenant Bunderman, who was also my PL, who was our acting commander that day. And I just remember
this guy reminds me of he had Papua New Guinean heritage, if I remember correctly, but his nickname was Chaka. Spear Chaka was his nickname, but an awesome guy. It looks like facial wise similar, short stocky build. It just reminds me of Chaka, who was one of the guys in the support element at the regiment. Really good fella.
we're asking him, what's going on, sir? Where do you need me at? And I just remember Lieutenant Bunderman looking at me, just telling me, just go observe, Avalos, just go observe. And I could tell that he was a little overwhelmed with what was going on in the beginning stages. So I proceeded to go out of our CP. By the time I opened up the front door, another recoilless rifle rocket came in and impacted our barracks roofing top, which caused a backblast leading into our CP door, which cost me bad.
So my initial job, and everybody's duties change from day to day. So my job that day was to get up and go to what we call a stand to position. A stand to position is a guard position that's only manned during peak fighting hours. You know what I mean? So if you're thinking in like hunting terms, you know, deer move in the morning and in the evening, while the Taliban and most people attack first thing in the morning or right before dark. So we would have
First light, last light, dawn and dusk. Those are key stand-to moments, and well, as far as I'm aware, still to this day, as part of any basic training, as part of any infantry corps training, even as part, excuse me, even as part of an SF patrol in the bush or anything like that, or out in the desert. Like it's interesting, that's how, and like that sort of practice still happens on last light, first light, and stand to, getting into and being in position so that you're essentially just lying and waiting in case there are any enemy coming to do an attack or anything like that, onto your position, so that you are prepared and ready to defend it. Yeah, just interesting to me that's still the case. I don't know that I thought about it that much on basic and infantry corps training. I did start to think about it a little bit more from memory whilst I was in the military in battalion, and then eventually getting into the regiment, because we were doing that in Timor and that as well, like the stand to and stuff as a small recce platoon, and everybody's up and quiet and waiting, that's going on last light and then getting up before first light and all that sort of stuff, just in case. Yeah.
Extra guards in place during stand 2 hours. Well, when we actually would get hit, we would reinforce those positions, and everybody has an assigned position to go to. So our guard towers weren't necessarily guard towers. They were 11-14s, which is an up-armored Humvee. So each one had either a 50 cal on it or a Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher. So that day, my job was to run to stand 2-2 and provide ammo for Specialist Faulkner and his 50 cal. And while he's engaging targets, I'm calling them out for him, and I'm linking belts of 50 cal together for him to keep his gun running.
I had about 1,000 rounds, 50 cal loaded in the can. Once I extinguished that, I reloaded multiple times, which I don't know how I didn't get shot doing that. I knew help was coming. The battle drills that we had done, I knew some friends were coming to help me. So after 1,500 rounds of 50 cal, as hard as that thing would cycle, an RPG finally hit my 50 cal and knocked it out of the turret. I didn't know it was going to be another 12 hours before that fight would be over.
So all that ammo was essentially...
Damn, another 12 hours of fighting in that situation, trying to defend that tactically indefensible piece of dirt that they've been assigned to.
located, all the excess ammo was centrally located in a bunker. So when we got to the bunker, there's a couple different spots where you had to run through the open. Now, there's no way to cover concealed movement to that spot. You point, shoot, run, and get to that point as fast as you can. So you're completely exposed. Anyone on top of the hills is literally probably looking down at you, watching you sprint all the way across this open area. Just a couple times, you don't even know what to do. But you're not going to stop. You're going to keep moving. You don't want to be a target, at least not be an easy target.
So after the 50 got knocked out of my hand, relief was coming. Mace had showed up to help support with ammo, but my gun was down. Gallegos had showed up. Sergeant Martin had showed up. Everybody had come to help get in the fight.
Would have been great to have, like you said, his mates there to help get in the fight, but it would have been just a bloody sinking feeling when your gun's been taken out, like one of your main guns in that particular area where he was. Just blasted. I think he said blasted off the top of the Humvee. Like that's a massive impact. And him being on at the butt of the weapon, firing that 50 cal and then having that come in and then whack that weapon off there, man. Just the concussion, the impact, the jarring that he would have felt in his body, the disorientation. Who knows if he suffered frag and stuff as a result of that, some sort of damage, I would imagine. Maybe he'll talk about it later on, but just crazy intense. I got to watch the movie now. I haven't watched the movie Outpost, but I'll have a look for it and give it a watch. But I'll come back to this one later as well, do another reaction. What did I get? Did I get to, nearly got to halfway. It's probably better than some of the other reactions, where it might have taken me 4 times to get through this. So really enjoying these. Got more reactions to do, so I'll come back and hopefully finish this one off on a part 2. But cheers for sticking around if you've been here this long, and we'll see you on the next video.